Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. The politics in Kenya is so murky that sometimes it involves politicians visiting sorcerers and magicians. And sometimes it even involves oathing, people taking oath and promising that we will never vote for such a person, we will never vote for certain communities. Sometimes back, Martha Karua told us of 1969 oathing that the Mount Kenya community took, that they will never vote for certain communities, especially the Luo Nation.
I'm in Kirugoya, Standard 6, and suddenly there is oathing.
There is?
Oathing, the 69 oath, 1969 oath.
Explain.
Where all people of Mount Kenya, excuse me, are trooping to Gatundu, to Jomo Kenyatta's home, to take oath. And where even school-going children are being asked to take oath. So I come home for holidays, and I'm told that even my younger brothers walked to go and take oath. The oath was being given at Kabare, so people were walking the 8 kilometers. A whole school, the people of age would walk.
And what was the oath?
The oath, as I had it then, was to say for those of us from the mountainside that the presidency will not go beyond Mount Kenya. It will not go especially to the Luo Nation.
Oh my God, this is
Wamera, you know?
Yes.
And that oath seemed to have shaped the course of politics in this nation. What exactly is oathing? Because we always talk about this term. I was looking for the meaning of oathing or oath, and it tells me, the dictionary that I have, that an oath is a solemn promise, often invoking a divine witness regarding one's future action or behavior. People sit down, and it is a solemn promise to say, hatutafanya hivi ama tutafanya hivi. And many a times kuna mazingaombwe hapa na pale ambazo zinafanywa. So these people sat down and they said, we will never vote for the Luo Nation. And it is some kind of dirty politics. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Ruto camp is now reviving that statement by Martha Karua for their own self-benefit. And they are telling the Luo Nation that the Mount Kenya fraternity has never voted for Raila Odinga. There's a video that I did yesterday, and when I said that they seldom vote for Raila, some of them corrected me and they told me they have been staunch supporters of Raila Odinga and they have voted. Some of them were telling me they believe in Raila's cause, they subscribe to Raila's political ideologies, and they have supported Raila from 2007, 2013, 2017 and 2022. Some of them were telling me the same, but if you look at the percentage that usually votes for Raila, it's not such a large number. Now, I have heard stories that when the colonial masters wanted to leave power, they approached Oginga Odinga, they wanted to hand over the baton to him. But Oginga then, full of love for the country, said he was not going to take over power until Kenyatta was removed from detention. These are stories you've heard. And then they also say that Raila Odinga in 2002 said Kibaki Tosha. The one of Oginga and Kenyatta maybe happened sometimes back, and it's something that very few people understand that history. But Raila saying Kibaki Tosha is something that most of us witnessed.
In the run-up to the 2002 presidential contest, Prime Minister Raila Odinga uttered the famous words Kibaki Tosha that propelled Kibaki's triumphant entry to State House.
Mimi Mwai Kibaki naapa kwamba nitakuwa mwaminifu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
Mimi nikasema Kibaki Tosha. Kibaki ni rafiki yangu. Tumekuwa marafiki kabisa.
I believe that NIS and Deep State is working day and night to ensure that William Ruto stays in power and gets a second chance. And therefore, they have revived those memories. And they are telling the Luo Nation that, you have supported the mountain, but the mountain has never reciprocated the same to the lakeside. And that is what is happening today. Now, there are a sequence of events that I want to look at very fast. Now, the deep state and the NIS are reminding the Luo nation that, Uhuru Kenyatta supported Raila Odinga. But the best he did was to promise him that he would support him in 2022, which he never did. And people like Babu Win and Robert Alai are saying this was a long con. Then after that, Ruto gets into a handshake. They form a broad-based government. And Ruto gives them the finance minister, energy, and attorney general. And that melted their hearts. And they are saying, if you compare the two, William Ruto is more genuine compared to Uhuru Kenyatta. And they say Uhuru is from Mount Kenya. And then Ruto himself, in his wisdom or lack of the same, set Gachagua against Raila Odinga. Gachagua set some traps in State House. Gachagua says that the only conversation that they can have with Raila Odinga is how he can exit Kenyan politics and retires to Bondo. Then before he knows it, William Ruto brings Raila and they are working together. And they are happily working together. And the Luo nation is being reminded that, Gachagua wanted to kill Raila. It is Gachagua who was in charge of the killings during Azimio protest. Notwithstanding that the commander-in-chief of all the armed forces, then and now, was and is still William Samoei Ruto. But then we are told it was Gachagua. And of course, you cannot blame the people who feel so, because Gachagua used to warn himself, but he has since apologized, saying that it is William Ruto who used him, who told him, go and say this, go and say that, go and remind them that they are not shareholders. Then with that pain, and of course it is a choreographed pain meant to achieve some political goals, Raila Odinga gives the necessary support and Gachagua is sent home, thereby widening even the rift between the lake and the mountain. So Raila goes to AU and he fails. And in Madeira, Nyeri, people celebrate. Some of them even go as far as saying, Raila, the only thing that you're good at doing and the only thing that you can achieve is being an opposition leader. You are born to be an opposition leader. Come, utuondole Ruto hii sisi tubaki kwa power. And that is working for William Ruto, because the lakeside watches and hears what is happening and they say, okay, so this is their plan. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to inform you that there is a secret thing going on in the Luo nation. Only that this time round, it does not involve invoking some sacred powers. It is not done before magicians and sorcerers, neither is it done in the pulpits of churches and mosques. This time round, they are bound by history, and they are saying, hawa watu wametukanyaga, wametudanganya, wametutumia. I'm telling you this, and you can trivialize what I'm telling you. If you walk along the corridors of Nyanza, you even talk to people from the lakeside living in the cities and towns, they will tell you that the main intention why these people, the people from the mountain want Raila back, is to use him to go to the streets. That is what they believe. And they're saying, we are not going back to the streets. If people feel that they are so tired of William Ruto, let them lead and then let them go to the streets. I want you to listen to the statements from these two people. And then I will give you another statement that was rebuttaling from Mount Kenya. And you'll realize that Mr. Politician is using divide and rule. And then I will tell you why we are not supposed to get into their traps. Kindly check.
It had gone out of my hand. So, these people betrayed us in 63, 78, 202, and recently. You think our people are going to follow them just because a few people in parliament want to get positions. They are going to get positions and they are going to return home, and we are going to tell them this is the path to follow. This is the only person you follow and gives you what you want. We helped Uhuru Kenyatta stabilize his government in 2018. Do you know the largest seat he gave us? The chairman of Lake Basin Development Authority.
Who is the chairman?
When Raila Odinga came to help President William Ruto to stabilize his government, what does he give them? Finance, Attorney General. Those are the people we are going to follow. So let us not pretend. But
then watu tena wakasahau tena wakarudi tena eti wanacheka ya kwamba Raila Odinga amelose kiti ya chairman ya AU ya Afrika. Mimi nataka kuambia watu wetu wa Kisumu, Migori, Siaya, Homa Bay, Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, kila mahali ambayo supporters wa Odinga wako, msijaribu kuingia kwa trap yao watu kusema ya kwamba Ruto must go. Hao watu wajeitaka Raila Odinga kwa president, hawako waitaka Oginga Odinga kwa president. Oginga Odinga aliwashughulikia dakika mwisho walimruka. Raila alisaidia hata Uhuru akasema Kibaki tosha wakamruka. Akakuja akasaidia Uhuru Kenyatta wakamruka. So mimi naomba watu wetu mkue kama. Na mimi nataka kuambia watu wetu hatuna time na hatuna haja na tuko na haja ya kurudi kwa barabara. Kama hiyo ndio furaha yao ambao walisherekea huko Nyeri, wapi na kila mahali wakisema ya kwamba Raila Odinga kirudi tunaenda kwa join kwa barabara. Hiyo barabara watenda na mtu wa Madera, wataangalia ule mama ya activist Martha Karua wajoin nao, na wengine kina Eugene watawajoin waende maandamano. Sisi juu wametuonyesha kwamba hao watu wajeipenda Raila Odinga kutoka ndani kwa mfupa yao, hawajeipenda Raila Odinga. Nataka niambie supporters wetu, sisi tuko na Raila Odinga na mali tatuambia tunaenda tutaenda, but hatuta join hao watu wa Madera, hatuta join hao watu wa Murang'a, hatuta join watu wa Kiambu. Kwa wachozbao huku hao watu wametuchukia in passion. Mtu akichukia baba yako asikudanganya na kupenda.
Tell me if that is not tantamount to oathing, because that is said in camera. When you get them in their unguarded moments and you listen to what they are saying, I'm telling you, you will realize that Kenya is divided and Mr. Politician is trying to widen the rift between the lake and the mountain for self-gain. Now I want you to listen to the rebuttal from this young man from the mountain and tell me what you make out of these people who are supposed to be Kenyans, supposed to be friends, living together. Can you listen?
Ndugu zangu Wajaluo, sasa mmedanganywa eti sisi wa Kikuyu are your enemies. Nyinyi Wajaluo mnatutishia eti sasa kwa sababu Raila alipoteza AU, ati sasa Ruto ni 10 bila break. Eti mtutese sisi, mfikirie mnatutesa sasa mtachagua Ruto. Kwanza hakuna Mkikuyu alichaguana AU. Hata yule alichaguana ni huyo Ruto na hakudeliver. Niwaambie ndugu zangu, tuambiane ukweli. Since independence hata hamjawahi support wa Kikuyu. Si mara ya kwanza 2027 mtasupport. So ni kitu tumezoea. Ile siku mlitusupport ni 202. Na hiyo hata msige tu support, bado yule ambaye alikuwa anaenda kuwin kama hamuge support Kibaki ni Uhuru Kenyatta, na bado ni Mkikuyu. Tulikuja kumsupport tena na kumpigia kura 2013. Kwa hivyo ndugu zangu Wajaluo, kama mnataka kuendelea ku remain opposition, it is well and good. Endeleeni. Msitutishe ati 10 bila break o tutapatia Ruto. Mpatieni, kura zenu ni zenu. Hamjawahi tupatia, eti sasa ni mara ya kwanza mtatupatia. Endeleeni kumpatia. Na hamjawahi tushida. Tuambiane ukweli. Nyinyi you people are opposition always. Opposition is your other name, is your synonym. So kaeni na huyo Ruto 10 bila break kwa Ruto, na sisi tuende side yetu mahali tunajua tutashinda. Sasa ati mututishe. Pana tisha sisi wa Kikuyu, pana tisha wa Kikuyu bwana.
What do you make out of those statements? I want to humbly submit to you that there are people who are working day and night to ensure that there is some kind of radicalization in Nyanza, to look at the mountain as their enemies. Just like some people worked day and night and convinced and persuaded the people of the mountain to look at Raila as their enemies. Now, the problem is this: whenever leaders at the topmost cadre disagree, then they want to invite us to disagree among ourselves, so that you look at your neighbor whom you've lived with for some times and you start seeing him as an enemy. Why? Because Gachagua and Raila are not reading from the same page. Therefore, Kinudi and Otieno are not supposed to work together. They are not supposed to work together. They are not supposed to intermarry. Why? Because we have allowed politicians to determine the course of our lives. And when there is such kind of thing, reasoning is sacrificed at the altar of loyalty and thrown to the dustbin so that people don't reason at all. During such moments, you listen to a Luo who is a professor and a Luo who is a class 1 dropout. They are reasoning together. You listen to a Kikuyu lecturer and a Kikuyu dropout, a class 2 dropout. They reason together. They never take their time to look at facts, because they now follow their tribal cause, their political cause. And it is very dangerous to us. This is exactly what happened in 2007 when Raila said my votes have been rigged, and Kikuyu says no, these people are here to interfere with our businesses, and people killed each other. If you listen to confessions from Naivasha, why? Because the politicians, we have subjected our life to the politicians to determine how we reason. Now, this time round, William Ruto understands well that he has lost the mountain votes that catapulted him to power. And he wants to compensate. And how does he do that? He does that by ensuring that they invoke loyalty from the Luo Nyanza people. And they tell them, these are your enemies. It's not like Raila and Ruto are friends. No, politics is about selfish interest. So they are using historical facts to ensure that they achieve their goal. So this is meant to ensure that he galvanizes the votes from Raila's backyard, because without that, he realizes that it is going to be very difficult in 2027. They're also doing this because I'm telling you, this could be deep state, NIS, it is a choreographed plan, and they're using the Luos because if it is coming from a non-Luo, then we will not see it as something that concerns us. So they're using politicians from the Luo land. If you listen to Robert Alai, you listen to Pondo Kaluma, you listen to all of them, they are saying this time around we are not going to be used. So William Ruto wants to galvanize that support base. He also wants to avert any kind of an alliance between Wamunyoro and Tinga. If there is something that William Ruto will not allow, is any kind of meeting between Raila and Gachagua, because he knows very well that the moment these two will team up together with people like Kalonzo, Martha Karua, Natembeya, then Ruto will be sent home very early in the morning. So they are trying to ensure that they avert any kind of meeting and alliance between these two. And you all know, of course, that Ruto is seeking for a second term, and that is the only way. And I'm here to humbly submit to you that there is a kind of secret thing taking place in Nyanza. Radicalization that is to ensure that they look at the mountain as their enemies. Sometimes back, Raila was being used as a scarecrow in Mount Kenya. You saw how the Rigathi Gachagua used to say it, that we have a problem with Raila. Now, the Luos are using the very, very script. Gachagua is the scarecrow that is being used in Nyanza. And with that, William Ruto is seeking to ensure that he segregates Mount Kenya. He wants to ensure that it is it 53 against 1? And that is their main game. But I can assure you that this is not going to work, because there are people in this country who are scrutinizing the politicians, and they're not going to vote simply because their de facto leaders are talking about so and so is bad, endorsing so and so. It has reached a point where there are people who are going to look at each and every politician, their past, their promises, and what they have achieved. And they're not going to vote or reject leaders simply because some usual suspects who have been there in the political scene for years either working together or have decided to become enemies, and they're using us. They want us to fall for their traps. This time round, there are Kenyans who are wiser than that. And let me tell you, if there is one thing that I will plead about, let us disagree on political ideologies. That is allowed. Let us disagree on political ideologies, but let us not carry a weapon against each other. And I want you to ask yourself, where you sleep, where you stay, your residential estate or area, if something should happen that your child falls sick and you don't have money, who will be the nearest person who you will run to if you need some emergency, even if it is 50 shillings? Is it Raila or Ruto or Gachagua or Wetangula or Mudavadi or Kalonzo or your neighbor, who might not even be coming from your tribe? Sahi ukipiga nduru, you've been attacked. Who will be the first person when you raise an alarm that maybe there are people who want to break into your door at night and you're with your children, now pig and nduru? Who will be the first people to visit you to find out what is happening? Are they the politicians I've mentioned, or just your neighbor who will come to check whether you are okay? If you can go for 3 days or a week and your phone is switched off and people don't see you around, who will be the first people to try and find out where you are? Are they those politicians or your neighbor? And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I want to submit to you that we should be very careful to ensure that we maintain peace and tranquility, to maintain friendship and the cordial relationship that we've had. Let politicians change alliances. Today, Ruto and Gachagua are friends and they don't want Raila. Let us remain friends. Then tomorrow, it is Ruto and Raila who are now together. Gachagua has been pushed to the periphery. Let us not get into their trap. Na ukitaka kujua watu ni wakora, Ruto anasema Gachagua alikuwa anataka kuniua, Gachagua anataka anasema Ruto alikuwa anataka kuniua, Ruto anasema walikuwa anataka kutopple the government. Did you know that today ukipatikana you in any way directly or indirectly trying to topple a government, you will be prosecuted? But Gachagua is still walking free. What does that tell you? Hawa watu ni wakora tu. They will always create narratives. Look at what is happening when Raila lost at the AU level and Raila has conceded defeat. Now there's a narrative that is created, ni Uhuru alienda huko usiku akakutana na marais na akawaambia msivotie Raila. There has to be a relative to keep, there must be a narrative to keep us busy, to continue with that hatred. And I don't know what to think, but we need to be very careful.